So for this next section, we're going to look at chocolate. Please don't hate me, but I'll help you to look at the lesser of the evils. All right, so there's a reason that people say chocolate isn't healthy for you. Let's have a look. So first we've got Cadbury Dairy Milk Chocolate. And remember per 100 grams? So, fibre? No, nothing. So then we're just left with sodium, 80 milligrams. Oh, we're going well so far, aren't we? That's a tick. Chocolate has a tick. Sugars? 56.2 grams. Does that meet our criteria? Is it less than 10? No. Does it have sugar in it? Does it have fruit in the first 3 ingredients? No. So it's not ideal, is it? Fat, 29.6, of which 18.2 is saturated. This is why they say chocolate's not particularly healthy for you. Doesn't meet the criteria. But what about dark chocolate? Remember from before? Dark chocolate has antioxidants in it. Let's have a look. It must be healthy for you. So we've got club chocolate. Got fibre? No fibre. Sodium, less than 5 milligrams. But it's not a salty food, is it? Really? So that's a little tick. And then we've got fat. Well, sugar, this one, has only got 27.2 grams. Now, nowhere near our 10, but look at the difference, 56.2 to 27.2. So what does that mean? That's right, 44.7 grams of fat. So you tell me, dark chocolate, whether it's got antioxidants or not, is it good for us? 44.7, less than 10? Less than 10? No. Let's have a look at this one. Orange. Orange is a fruit, right? Might have fruit in it. So, orange, fat, 29.3. Well, that's a big improvement on our fat there. But what does that mean? That's exactly right. They've increased the sugar to 51.5 grams. Look at that. So it's more than half sugar. Is orange in the first 3 ingredients? No, don't be silly. Sodium, 26 milligrams, and no fibre. So what do? Well, what about sugar-free dark chocolate? This one here says, well, naturally, the great taste for health-conscious people. So that must mean it's healthy, right? Well, let's have a look then. It says great taste, low GI. Low GI, what did I say about chocolate before? It is low GI. Why? Because the fat slows the digestion, so this tells us it's still got fat in it. Natural antioxidants and low carb. Well, low carb will be because it's low in sugar, because it says it's sugar-free. So there's a lot of good advertising on the front of this one, so let's have a look. So we've got sugar, true to their word, 0.2. Well, that's a tick, isn't it? Dietary fibre. This is going to surprise you, but I'll explain. 35.8. Ooh, that's going to keep you full and satisfied. But what they do is they use that fibre, I think it's the dextrose, polydextrose, and they stick it all together with that because that's what the sugar used to do. So it has got fibre in it, yes. Sodium, 5 milligrams, so that's a tick. So this seems great so far, right? So let's have a look at the fat. 37.7 grams of fat. So compared to our Cadbury, this one has even more fat in it. So that's very disappointing. And in terms of saturated fat, this has 22.5 grams, so even more than our Cadbury chocolate at the top there. Next we have this sugarless milk wafer chocolate. This has no added sugar as well, so let's see how we go with it. Now this is a classic example of tiny writing, and if you can't read the writing, I would recommend you take a magnifying glass to your supermarket. Even though it looks silly, you want to know what's in your food, and that'll help you to be able to read your labels. So sugarless chocolate. So fat, we've got 29 grams. Now, they make it sound so healthy, don't they? Sugarless chocolate, but we forget about the fat. Sugars, as expected, 3.7, so not very high, but it's hardly sugar-free, is it? It says no added sugar. Sodium, 0, so it's not salty, but it's chocolate. Dietary fibre 3.4. And we think, okay, but then when we look at the calories, the kilojoules, which is how much energy, so if we're trying to watch our weight, our normal run-of-the-mill chocolate has per 100 2,230 kilojoules, and this one has 2,067. But the numbers don't add up because calories come from sugar as well, but this is saying that there's not very many calories, not very much sugar in there. So what's going on? The missing puzzle piece is something called maltitol, which is digested and absorbed in a similar way to sugar, and it gives a similar amount of calories. So this has 41 grams of maltitol. So add that to your 3.7, we've got 44.7, which brings us up to similar. So here we've got this expensive sugar-free chocolate that yields the same amount of calories as our normal chocolate. So it can be quite misleading, really. So next we're going to look at Choc Crunch biscuits. So what about biscuits? They must be better, right? All right, so this is just a honeycomb crunch. And what have we got here? So fat, we've got 25.2. So we're just going to do a little bit that way. So biscuits are below the line. So that doesn't meet the criteria. Sugars, 51.1. So we've got similar to our club chocolate up here and many of the others, so very high in sugar. This is why they say biscuits aren't good for you either. Sodium 170 milligrams, so higher than all the chocolates there. And dietary fibre doesn't appear on there. So swapping biscuits may not be the best thing to do. Same with the butternut snap cookie. You think butternut, that's a vegetable, isn't it? Somebody alerted me to the fact that it's probably butter and nut. Let's have a look. So fat, 20.6. Nowhere near the less than 3 that we're wanting. Sugar, 37.5. Not very good. And it doesn't have fruit in it, or nuts. It probably does have nuts, actually, having said that. So then we can look at the saturated fat, which is 14. So that's 14. So it's not all saturated fat, but it's quite high as well. Then we look at the sodium, 536 milligrams. So that's not right either. And then fibre doesn't appear on there. So should we have biscuits instead? They're not ideal either. What about Tiny Teddies? Chocolate. So if you're wanting a chocolate taste, what about these? So let's add these to the bottom here. So fat, 13.3. So look up at that category there. It's quite a lot lower than all the rest of them, isn't it? Now we look at sugars, 26.1. That's down there with some of the lowest as well. Dietary fibre, 4.3. So we're almost at our target of 5. So it's not bad. And sodium, 392. And we want less than 400, so that's actually a tick. So can you see how reading labels in this sort of category can guide you towards a much healthier biscuit choice? What about Chicos? These are caramel Chicos, but if you want a sweet taste, let's have a look. So fat, we've got 1.2 grams of fat. So that's quite a lot lower than the rest of them. And that's actually a tick, and it's less than 10, and it's less than 3. Sodium, 260 milligrams, so that's less than 400. Fibre, not in there. And then we look at sugar, and it's 44.5. So whilst they've saved on the fat, again, they've increased that sugar. So I guess it's a matter of weighing up, choosing your very favourite food. And if your favourite food is quite high in calories and nowhere near the criteria, the best thing to do is just have a little bit, eat it slowly, really enjoy it, taste it, feel like you're having a treat with no guilt, and put it away.